Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 30th day of June 2025. In studio, I have Russell Dido, Member of Parliament for Saku constituency. He also sits in the Security Committee of the National Assembly. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning.
Have you been here before? Yes,
I've been here many months ago.
Okay. Many months ago. Welcome back then.
Thank you so much.
Charles Owino is the former spokesperson of the National Police Service, but also working with the government on matters communication. Good morning, Charles.
Morning to you.
Great to see you again. Then Nelson Harvey is the former Law Society of Kenya president, but he's also an advocate of the High Court. Good morning.
Morning, Sam.
We're still expecting Senator John Nyoto, the Senator of Muranga County. As soon as he joins us, he will be on the panel. But this morning, we're waking up to the news of No Thank You is the main story that is on the Standard. And they are talking about ruling from the arrest and prosecution of Nairobi Central Police Station OCS and a police constable following the death of Albert Ojwang at the station. Police officers have come out, some boldly, others on condition of anonymity, to rubbish the shoot-to-kill order by Interior CS Murkomen, cases of politicians and senior officers using junior officers to commit crimes and later abandon them to serve jail terms have been cited as police urge their colleagues to be guided by the law. Of course, you recall what the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said a few days ago, which you'll be listening to shortly. But also in detail, you'll find some of the quotations of what some of the police officers have said. Hiram Kimathi quoted as saying that you are a liar, you have lied, you will not protect me, or you will protect your interests. I will be sacrificed in court before a judge, and I will be sentenced to prison. The story continues inside this paper from pages 4 and 10, where you find the details about that, including Murkomen's shoot-to-kill order backfires as officers return fire over directive. I'm just reading what the paper is saying. The Interior CS directive has started controversy within the National Police Service, but Murkomen is sticking to a familiar script. I was misquoted. Of course, he also said that he was just reading what the law provides. We'll be looking at that shortly. Now, on the front page of the Daily Nation, then, you'll find that the main story, one of the main stories is a shot hawker declared brain dead. We are talking about Boniface Kariuki, whose family has come out to say that the doctors at the KNH have informed them that he is brain dead, saying that they know what that means, and they're just expecting for their son and brother to be declared clinically dead. Of course, he was shot in demonstrations. He was unarmed. He was selling masks on the streets, but he was shot by a police officer and has been nursing those injuries since then, having to undergo at least 2 surgeries to the head, and the doctors repeatedly saying that he was in a critical condition. But now they are also saying that he is brain dead. We'll be shortly be looking at what Kipchumba Murkomen has said, which is in regards to his statements when he visited Kikuyu Police Station on the afternoon of Thursday, I believe. He was there. Let's listen to what he said in regards to instructions to police officers.
Police station, pick a result. Polisi bunduki. Ama mtu mwenye anatupiwa mawe polisi anataka kuua polisi. Ati atakuja kupembelezwa. Unafikiria bunduki ni mandazi?
Okay. Let me begin with you, Charles, here, because this has really caused a lot of heat. And the Cabinet Secretary is defending himself that he was simply citing the law. And you hear some of his voices. What have you made of this?
You know, police have a role to play in society. And the biggest role is law and order. to protect life majorly, as much as we talk about property, but the law is very specific on protection of property because it says you can just use extra force on property if that action may cause or threaten life.
Yeah.
For example, you want to burn this property and we are inside here, then that becomes an issue. But maybe if it is just a go down without anything and somebody wants to burn it, you must restrain yourself. There are provisions in law when police officers may use firearms, and they are clear. One of them is to protect life. Another one is to restrain a person who is trying to rescue maybe a criminal who has committed a felony, or somebody who is escaping from custody who has committed a felony. Those are the major areas. So we look at the circumstances. In the last incident, we have seen 9 police stations destroyed or burnt, and we have seen 5 firearms stolen from the police stations. I think I'm with the former chairman of LSK and Harvey here. On my background as a policeman, I look biased when I speak, but I think Harvey should be able to tell these Kenyans the provisions in law, because at the end of the day, if the police cannot use their firearms and the public get to know they cannot use those firearms against them, then definitely what you are going to see is total anarchy. The population of police is just 120,000 vis-a-vis a population of 50 million. So we must be able to tell the truth, the circumstances when the firearms may be used. And they are clear and they are there in the papers.
But does that require the Cabinet Secretary to say what he said?
You see, he has said that out of annoyance, out of what people have done, out of restraint that the police had. You saw a policeman beaten carrying his firearm to the ground, and he still restrained himself. He did not shoot at anyone. So even if you look at some of the cases, we have lost 17 people, which is very sad. And most of these cases, when you look at them, you find, apart from a case of, we have 2 very sad cases. Yep. There's a 17-year-old boy which we lost in Molo from Jenga Karume Secondary School. There's a security guard that we lost from Kenya Power out of what is called a stray bullet. And then there are now many other people, some shot, like in Odhaya, I saw 2 shot invading Emmanuel Supermarket. Yeah. In Kikuyu, in Makongeni, I can see somebody shot attacking police station. In Juja, the same. And these are incidences that we could avoid. For example, if we were just to have peaceful demonstrations, we cannot have such incidences. But what we have is total anarchy. And this cannot be allowed. So I don't think the minister is totally out of context to say that police officers should use their firearms where the law calls for them to use it. All right. Unless we want to not to face reality and say that we have those firearms. In fact, if there is no need of officers to use firearms, let's agree with legislators that the police officers should not be given firearms at all. Yeah. All right. And also joining us this morning is Senator John Nyoto from Murang'a County. Thank you, Senator, for making time for us. And we are continuing the conversation. Let's listen to what Raila Odinga said in regards to what CS Murkomen has said.
Somebody giving instruction to a police officer that, oh, kama mtu na karibia police station, piga risasi. My shame. Shame on you. Shame on you. Police have no license to kill human beings. If somebody has committed a crime, arrest that person and take him before a court of law.
President Harvey, what do you make of these sentiments? Are Kenyans overreacting?
If you were to listen to the 3 police officers who have answered Kipchumba Murkomen, then you'll get your answer. They have said, we will not obey your unlawful and unconstitutional command to shoot, to kill innocent Kenyans. So that on the basis of that, it is easy to discern the flaw in the directive by Kipchumba Murkomen. There is nobody who doubts the legality of the use of firearms by police officers. But the context in which this pronouncement by Murkomen are being justified is what has to be interrogated. First and foremost, the High Court has determined in Katiba Institute versus the Attorney General 397 of 2017 that the right to life, the right to a fair hearing is superior to the right of a police officer to use a firearm for the protection of life, for the defense of his life, and for the defense of the life of another person. Well, that takes us back to the use of reasonable force. And every policeman and policewoman understands the moment you misuse your firearm, you are on your own. You will be charged with murder or manslaughter, and it will be upon yourself to demonstrate that you used reasonable force in the circumstances. And often, you will be found guilty. Because if you're shooting at Boniface Kariuki, who only has a mask, how can you justify the use of brute force on him? You understand? Look at all the cases that were reported last week. I never saw a single incidence of a policeman confronting anybody looting a shop. But I saw so many incidences of policemen shooting innocent protesters. What is the name of this gentleman? Calligraph Jones. What was the underlying reason why they had to whip him? He was just walking innocently, and you could see. These policemen were intent on provoking him so that a scuffle would ensue and shoot him. But with that said and done, police officers must realize that an unlawful command from anybody, the president, the cabinet secretary, the PS, the police spokesman, cannot be obeyed.
And Chairman, sorry, Mheshimiwa Russell, you sit in the committee that oversees the security sector.
Yes.
Is your committee disturbed by these sentiments of the cabinet secretary, despite his explanations? Because he's been saying that you will not find me anywhere saying someone should be shot to be killed. You will not find me anywhere saying police officers should take orders from me. But that expression of confidence, what does it do to the sector?
Thank you very much. I think looking at the holistic picture, we should not just look at what Murkomen said selectively. As a lawmaker, I look at both sides of the coin. Article 95, Sub-Article 1, actually talks about the role of National Assembly, that whatever I do must be in the interest of the people. And remember, some years back, there was something which Michuki said. When you rattle a snake, prepare to be bitten. What Murkomen said, it almost falls in the same realm. We cannot really say that two wrongs can make a right. Article 245 of our Constitution is very clear that the IG is the sole authority who has those fundamental rights to direct the police in terms of functions, in terms of the activities. But it also goes further to say that the minister may direct the IG. But whatever direction it is, say not in respect of investigation, not in the respect of enforcement of the law, employment, assignment, promotion, all that. So whether that minister said what he did, and the law further says that both the minister and DPP can give direction to the IG, but they must be in writing. As a lawmaker, I take his statement as those sweeping statements. That does not have the full force of the law. He must come to Parliament to say, hey, there is a lacuna in law in terms of the police being able to enforce the law. So for that reason, I want to suggest amendment to the National Police Service Act. But on the street, I think on the whim, everybody can say anything. But what is important is, does it have the force of law?
Okay, does it have the full force of the law? Yeah. I want us to listen in to some explanation that he gave. Just hear this so that you hear it from his own words.
You will not find me anywhere where I said somebody should be shot to be killed. You will not find me anywhere where I said that a police officer should take orders from myself. No. I restated the law and reminded them what the law says. Your Excellency, I'm not the one who wrote the law. All the police officers understand how to use a firearm, don't you? Yeah, it's clearly provided for in the International Police Service Act of 2011. It is spelled out in the law that when you use a firearm against another person, it's either your life is in danger.
Okay, and many other things that he highlights. Senator, is this a minister who regrets what he said but not sure how to say it?
Thank you, Sam, and good morning. I think I want to say that one thing that baffles my mind is what happens to people when they get to power, when they get power and money. And I say that because over the years, Murkomen has been able to prove that he's a very reasonable person, somebody who understands the law, and somebody who do not allow other people to think for him. But the Murkomen of today, after getting power, and of course money, and proximity to the president, seems to have abdicated his role, seems to have forgotten what he stands for, seems to have forgotten everything. Because it's also embarrassing for somebody to say something today, and I'm referring to flip-flopping. Murkomen said in public, and it was all over for everybody to see, he ordered the police to shoot and kill anybody who approached a police station.
He didn't say kill.
And
let's be fair to him. He didn't say kill. He said shoot.
Shoot, yes. Of course, the police have not been shooting to immobilize recently. They have been shooting to kill. And he also referred to another power above him and said, these are not my instructions. These are instructions from above. And the above can only be one particular person, that is President Ruto. Because, we are here discussing this matter this morning, Sam, because of the recent shootings by the police. And when Wakili Harvey tells you about Boniface Karaoke, who comes from my county, I mean, everybody saw what happened. This is somebody the police harassed. And he had actually even left. Then the police officer, I don't know what came to him. They shot him. We have not seen any police officer confronting a dangerous person, a looter, but very innocent Kenyans who are not armed. And so what I may want to say also some regarding to what the Honorable Raso has said. He has explained that, the minister has no place in law to order police officers. And what Murkomen said to these police officers, well, he would just take it aside, just another comment by maybe a politician. But do the police understand the intricacies in this particular law? Mm-hmm. Because maybe Charles will explain to us, but I hear that the police take orders first and question later. So are you, Honorable Raso, telling us that an ordinary police officer will know that this CS for Interior was saying it for the cameras and it was not an order? And in the first place, why then give that particular kind of order? Because again, Sam, although you have not asked me about that, we must ask ourselves, especially relating to what happened last Wednesday. I mean, we are told that police stations were torched, that people stole guns, but we were not told of any response by the police officers who were there. I mean, we saw the DCC's offices in the Kikuyu here, you know, getting torched. There was no response by police officers. So, and I think maybe if you get time, and if you may want to ask Charles, because he is a former police officer and a police spokesman. I mean, whether he thinks that actually that whether that was just an act of crime or it was something pre-planned. You cannot attack a police station today, Sam.
You think it was pre-planned?
Of course.
By who?
By government. Who else? Because it seems...
Government planned to attack police station?
No, government planned goons to attack a police station and ordered. Of course, I'm not saying I have evidence, but of course you had one-to-one. How would, you know, people who are unarmed attack a police station? There is no response from the police officers in that particular station. You know, there is no response at all. Unless orders have been given to the police officers who man such a particular station not to respond and to go away. I mean, you cannot do that in a police station.
That is actually possible, Senator, you believe?
It is?
You believe it's actually possible for the government to organize goons?
Yes. Not exactly organize goons. Politicians can organize goons, but government can give orders to the police in such a particular police station not to respond to the attacks. And you know, Sam, you know, if you go out here, there are politicians ordering security organs, you know, telling them, OCPD, do this, you know, and they do it. And we see these things.
Which politicians?
I mean, those that are aligned to government. Those that support government. Yes, I've seen them in my county, giving orders, calling for security meetings. Politicians. And they appear. These are things that are there.
You know, Sam.
I mean, they are not done officially, but they are there. You'll go to a gathering, and there is a pro-government politician. And when especially they do not want anybody who is anti-government to speak, then you will hear them telling OCPD, Nyanganya Mike, OCPD, that should not be said. Nobody should mention the president here. And they do it? And they do it, yes.
You want to say something?
You know, Sam, with due respect to the good senator here, I think we gathered here, even on this table, we are leaders in this country. And we have a responsibility by the Constitution to say on a national television, and for that matter, the leading television in this country, that the government can organize to ban courts, police stations, torch even what you call those foundational institutions in this country, I think is not acceptable. If we buttress on what that minister said, and even those of us in parliament, as leaders, there's something we will not agree, even in the bit that we are annoyed that something has really gone wrong. But what is important, and what Mheshimiwa Senator should not run away from, are Kenyans' right to ban their own police stations. Today, if there is an incident in Kikuyu where that police station is banned, if there's robbery, if there's killing, where will those citizens report? So while we are looking at this on a very narrow stream, let us look at the holistic picture. That is what happened. Is it right? Do we agree with that? Because we should not selectively pick at what the minister said. What the minister said, on the face of it, is not right. And we cannot agree with what is not right. But the minister is simply saying, he is telling Kenyans, please don't approach that man who is armed so that you force him to use an arm. And that is by law. That armed man is not just armed for the sake of it. Remember in your television, I think you covered of a lady a police lady who was actually beaten. But I must thank Kenyans because there's a young man who really tried to cover that lady and made sure that others were not going to step on her, because there were those who maybe were out to hurt her. But a few of them, they said, no, you cannot do this. So while we can say that the police are not doing right things,
Yeah.
because they have been trained to use arms, to be professionals. But also we must agree as Kenyans, if you cross the red line, there are consequences. But the bottom of it, are we using the law? Our Bill of Rights actually is the best in the world. Mm-hmm. As you read the Bill of Rights, chapter 4 of our Constitution, there are a raft of things that says you cannot do this, don't infringe on the right of others. And then at some point you are told, hey, this right sometimes can be limited. Limited not to the extent that it injures you, but it infringes on the boundaries of other people.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a short break. I know you wanted to say something about some of the sentiments of Senator Nyoto. We'll do that after the break, but also stay tuned to be speaking about some of the families that have come out to say how they were affected or how their kin were affected. Of course, reflecting on the news that Boniface Kariuki, the family has said he's brain dead, is a person who suffered in the hands of a policeman. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.